GMB.TV. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? Yeah, the market's not so good. It's not. I'm not even going to kid you. It's not all that great today. Things are looking down. Somebody asked me about copper the other day, and I made a mental note. Copper's been down 3 weeks. It's been down 3 weeks, even though it's a crucial metal. So do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That's what I would say about that. Now, what do we have going on? Have you noticed that the world seems to be moving toward you not owning anything? Apparently, Sony is making it so that you can rent your PlayStation. Rent a PlayStation? Yeah, for like £10 a month or something like that. I think they're floating the bubble on this one. I think they're stupid. But, stupid and smart at the same time, right? Because on the other hand, RAM prices went up, making it almost impossible for you to actually get RAM to build your home computer. Hard drive prices are going up, making it almost impossible for you to be able to build your own computer. What else is going on? Cars want to rent you or have you subscribe to different features in the expensive car you bought. In the United States, the average cost of a car is greater than $50,000. $50,000. Yeah, not cute. Where is it? In Europe, they're saying they want 70% of EVs to have locally found components. Wow. Just saying. So there's a lot going on in that space that I'm just kind of like, are you serious? This is odd. I'm just going to keep going. I don't care. We're just going to keep it going, keep it moving. I'm just looking at the numbers to make sure that everything is moving properly. That's all. So you've got a lot of things working against you with regard to actual ownership of almost anything. But own a PlayStation? You can't even build your own computer anymore? Everything is going to be leased? The world has lost its mind. It really has. Last night we were touching on the idea that people are beginning to buy land and farm. Because what do you actually need? You need food, you need water, you need shelter. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. Food, water, shelter. Food, water, shelter. I'm repeating myself because it's a crazy amount of people that are moving to that lifestyle. You're seeing more and more people saying, yeah, I'm going to go do that because this is for the birds. A friend of mine was telling me that, down south, people are buying hundreds of acres of land and doing the whole building their own communities and everything. And I'm like, and it's not like it's some kind of, flower child thing. It's a survival thing. It's a survival thing. I keep telling my kids, it's going to be harder and harder for you to own land, to own property. So as soon as you can, you might want to think about that. Problem is that the distance or the parameters for you to operate to actually go get your own land are so steep. It's painful. There are kids right now that are, going to school, graduating, and they're scratching their heads about, well, what kind of job am I going to have? You ever stop to think about that? What kind of job I'm going to have? You just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on school or even tens of thousands of dollars on school, and you're asking yourself what kind of job I'm going to have? I heard somebody say that liberal arts degrees are going to be the ones that actually survive. I had to stop and think about that. And I could be in agreement. I started thinking about simple things like healthcare. That's probably going to go up. Nobody wants to deal with a robot, when they're getting healthcare. You want that personal touch. Teaching is going to go away at some point, right? Except for those kids that absolutely absolutely need that human being, that's a job that can go away. That's scary. That's very scary. And still, through all of this, I have yet to actually see governments around the world, especially in the United States, actually start talking about, hey, look, listen, as all of these things start to happen, society is changing. And I've yet to see them say, hey, this is how it's changing. We're going to have to start supporting our people. These businesses that are making billions of dollars in profit and still laying people off need to support the people. Because how dumb do you have to be to say to yourself, we're going to keep growing our pockets beyond what we could possibly ever spend and not take care of our fellow man? Roof, food, clothing, right? Water, land, food, shelter. You know what I mean? Just these companies are still not getting it. And I'm just wondering when they will wake up and go, whoa, we've gotten out of control. Greed has really killed us. We're going to have to rethink this. And I don't think they're going to get to that point on their own. I think laws have to be put in place. And the only way you're going to be able to put those laws in place is by removing money from government. Meaning, you can't lobby with money. You can't buy a seat. In this day and age, what do I actually need to run ads, commercials, or reach people? That price is going lower. That price is going lower. And at some point, the amount of money that you have is not going to matter. You need to remove money from politics, greed from politics. And the only way that you can do that is say, look, listen, this is how it's going to work. No lobbying, period. You want to fundraise, go fundraise. And get back to basics. Just saying. There was a guy in Texas that won. He won, and he spent 1/10 of what his rival made, of what his rival spent. That's crazy, right? And I say this because you have people both sides of the aisle in the United States that are running on fiscal responsibility. They're running on kitchen table things that absolutely will affect your bags. If I listen to somebody and they are a single opinion politician, that'll be a politician I'm not interested in. Because I'm not going to have you get into office and check that one box and screw up all the other ones. My money, my bag gets affected by a lot of different things. So I need the person that's going to be have a positive impact on my bag, across the board, as opposed to I check one box, and the other 9 are screwed. Nah. Can't do that anymore. Cannot do that anymore. I mean, so many people have been doing that. You just can't do that anymore. Steak and Shake, I wanted to bring this up. Steak and Shake started accepting Bitcoin last year. And over the past 9 months, their profits have skyrocketed. They're saying that they're up 50% transaction and cost reductions, $15 million in Bitcoin reserve, and expanding to El Salvador through worker reactions, although worker reactions are mixed. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just saying to myself, I don't care. 15% in sales growth after accepting Bitcoin. 15%. That's huge in business. That's huge. That's a huge impact in business. Just saying, you certain things I pay attention to, and that's one of them. How are you making your money? Where are you making your money? You want to expand? Good. How are you doing that? Steak and Shake is not a small spot. And for them to actually come out and make a wave saying, hey, look, listen, accepting crypto is a good thing, you better believe that others are looking at that. Remember what I said about having retail accept crypto? That's going to be a big deal. It's absolutely going to be a big deal. Maya, a Philippines A Philippines digital bank is looking for a $1 billion US IPO. Yup. Also, there's a phishing scam targeting Ledger and Trezor wallets. Again, it's the whole letter thing that they send out. So they're phishing again. Crypto.com secured ISO IEC 42001 certification for AI systems management, expanding AI tools via AI.com as competitors like Coinbase enter AI-driven crypto space. Now, crypto is going to be big. It's not great now. But if you do it right, AI can really help a business. It can really help a business. A lot of these businesses are going out there and willy-nilly just, oh, we're going to get rid of people and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. There was a company that their chatbot, their after-hours chatbot was tricked into giving somebody like an 80% discount on a product. Of course, this was eventually caught by the company and they did not stick to it. The company said, nope, we're not doing that. The company made the mistake, gave the person the price, and that should have been, they should have stuck by that price. And the reason why is because you'd have lost money on that 80%. How much? Do the math, you'll figure it out. But even if you would have lost money, by raising your hand and saying, here's an example of how a company didn't look at something, too tough, and it's been running perfectly for 6 months, because it was running perfectly for 6 months, and all of a sudden somebody got on there and just kept chatting, and got the discount. That says, hey, look, listen, you should have stayed by that. And I would have raised my hand. I'd have been like, yeah, we got caught out there. We're going to be looking over our chatbot, but we're going to honor that. You know how many customers you'd have gotten after that? Yeah, I think you'd have gotten a lot. A company that stands by their word, whether a human gives it to you or a bot gives it to you, you should stand by your word. Just saying, missed opportunity. Missed opportunity right there. Crypto market sentiment hit extreme lows. It's been hitting extreme lows. Ripple CEO predicts an 80% chance. This is not a poly market or something like that. None of those predictive markets. But Brad Garlinghouse is saying, he says that the Clarity Act has an 80% chance of passing in the spring of this year. And I'm sitting back and I'm kind of saying to myself, maybe. He's been sticking to his guns. He's been pretty solid on spring. Actually, I think he might have said summer, and then he pulled it into spring. But even if it was just spring, that's pretty hopeful. That is pretty hopeful. Something else on the regulatory side. So there are people saying that in England, they're taking so long to get regulations in place, the right guardrails in place, that's also hampering their opportunity to be a crypto hub. No, really? I'm just saying. Last night we were talking about this company, Virtus. Virtus had $1 billion in daily transactions. Their return last year, as they reported via a press release, says that their returns were 51%. The S&P was only 17%. So imagine just the hair under 3x what the S&P did. All based on AI. The reason why I bring this up is because, again, I'm looking at, everybody thinks that the jobs that are going to get taken away are low-level jobs. And I'm sitting here and I'm getting my giggle on. And the reason why is because they built a platform based on AI, because the three people that created this company basically are rocket scientists. Robotics, automation, they really are rocket scientists. Wall Street used to be made up of quants, right? People that were really good at math, and that's really nice. But now you have a company that built a system that beat the market, and none of those quants did. So now the quants, the traders, the actual traders, are now under fire because now somebody's proven that, oh yeah, we can take a trader's job too. Imagine. I'm just saying that you have jobs all over the place that span the spectrum that could wind up going away. You have high flyers in high paying jobs that could see those jobs go away. And then what? Like, what do they go do for a living? And what does that mean if these companies own everything as far as the eye can see? What does that actually mean? If nobody can afford anything, then nobody's going to care, right? More stuff to think about. Definitely more stuff to think about. Zero Lend, a decentralized lending protocol, has shut down. They just said they couldn't sustain their business. They're like, we couldn't sustain the business. We're going to shut down. It's due to low engagement and liquidity issues, with TVL dropping from 359 million to 6.6 million, and its token falling 34%. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. I bring up these things because some of these things just slide under people's radars and they're not thinking about this. That is a DeFi lending protocol. DeFi. Just putting that out there for you. So every time we go through and we look at DeFi Llama and we see the total value locked, that's one of the companies who has their numbers as a part of that pool. They went from 357 million down to 6.6. Just saying. Just saying. Just putting it out there for you. What else do we have? Polygon's daily transaction fees exceeded Ethereum's for 3 days, driven by Polymarket's $1 million in fees, marking a first for the Layer 2 chain. Yeah, that's never happened for them. Oh, because Polymarket does USDC on Polygon. Yeah. Yeah. So there's one thing that can come from Polymarket that's good, because you know I don't like predictive markets. I don't think that I would have a problem with predictive markets if they just said, we're gambling. Because right now, if you listen to the news, it's been normalized. The betting on everything has been normalized. The betting on military maneuvers, normalized. The betting on what color the sky is going to be, normalized. The betting on what a CEO is going to say during their quarterly speech, normalized. I will hear the chances of something happening before I hear what it is that may or may not happen. Yeah. The normalization of gambling through a new term called predictive markets is going to be a problem. You're going to wind up having to have more and more phone calls and therapists out there to get people to stop gambling, because now it's a part of normal everyday life. Good morning, Molly. Good morning, Matthew. Don't forget to invest in yourself. So what else do we have? Fundstrat's Mark Newton warned of a 15 to 20% stock market decline in 2026 linked to midterm election cycles and tech sector weaknesses. Yeah. Why are there tech sector weaknesses? Forget about that political crap. Why are there tech sector weaknesses? Because software as a service companies are taking it on the chin, because there's a lot of services that, companies use that they can now do in-house and save money. Chamath Palihapitiya said, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. I greatly apologize to you, sir, if I'm mispronouncing your name. Had said he agrees with, he didn't say he agrees with me, but he does agree with my point. The idea of AI staying in the cloud is almost a ridiculous notion. AI is going to be localized, period. Why? Data sovereignty. You're going to hear that term pop up more and more and more. And I think that could be another area where we could actually see growth. Data sovereignty. You're going to see companies pop up that can handle data sovereignty or ensure data sovereignty for companies that are in business. Here's the other thing. Data sovereignty certifications. I could see that becoming a thing. You have to attest to other things. You have to test to have how much money you have in reserves and blah, 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 blah. I think you're going to have to start to actually attest to your data sovereignty practices. You want to know who's going to have a problem with that? You want to know who's going to have a problem with that? Go on the internet and search for, what is it called? They're COs, not court orders, but the term will hit me. But the idea is that banks, a lot of banks have problems. A lot of banks have problems with COs because they don't know how to handle data. Go look up what bank has had, COs. I would look it up now, but I'm in the middle of a show. So if one of you guys could look it up for me, what the term CO stands for, I used to know. I used to be in the space, and I'm just drawing a blank because I have so many other things on the top of my mind, like MasterCard stock falling 1.7% in the UK as banks discussed a domestic payment network. Europe and the UK want to get off of US rails. They want to get off of US rails. That's a big deal. People might not be paying attention to that, but let me assure you that is a very big deal. A very big deal. Consent order. That's what it is. It's called a consent order. Go look up what banks have been affected by consent orders. So any bank that's been affected by a consent order, which is a lot of banks, those banks are going to have a hard time attesting to any kind of data sovereignty, meaning that they protect your data to a certain level, right? They would have a really hard time. You have a whole bunch of banks that got extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. How? The new regime said, oh, you could just toss out those consent orders. Do you know what those consent orders are? Those consent orders are orders from the U.S. government for those banks to fix their data management or other things that have gone wrong in the bank. Remember a few years ago, I had announced to you guys that, hey, TD Bank has that big problem with money laundering. Yeah, it's stuff like that. You can get a consent order for that. And the new regime just said, don't worry about consent orders right now. Not those, anyway. Just... you get a pass. What? So normally you get a fine for a consent order, but it's normal course of doing business. The fine does not equate to even come close to how much money you made by operating in that fashion, right? And now you're saying those consent orders go away. So not only do I not have to pay the fine, but now I don't have to do the work to actually fix anything. And it's business as usual, all handcuffs off. What? I'm just saying. I have no idea what you're saying. So yeah, you might want to fix that comment or get rid of it. I don't know what that has to do with this kind of show. As a matter of fact, we'll remove that. So, good morning, though. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, holy moly, data sovereignty is going to be a big deal. And when you look at data sovereignty, there's also user sovereignty, also a big deal. Very big deal. But you know what we should do? That's right. We should get into numbers. Now, listen. There's still a whole bunch more articles that I was going to get through today. Just not enough time. Go to growmybag.tv. All the articles are there. You'll be able to see everything. But let's go do this. Let me get my notes out of the way. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, we can ditch this. And let's go over to the stock market. Stock market, Dow futures implied open 64 points down. S&P futures implied open 20.75 points down. NASDAQ futures implied open 191.25 points down. Down, people. Down. That's insane. Oil, 1.20 up. US 10-year down 0.023. But we could be looking at a down day for the Dow. We could definitely be looking at a down day. Just saying, pay attention to these things, folks. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. And remember, investment, don't listen to those first two letters. Investment isn't just investment. Think of it as investment, holdvestment, outvestment, right? I can put my money in, I can hold my value wherever it is, or I can pull my value out. See what I'm saying? Investing is not just putting your money in, folks. It's not. Just pay attention to these things. Who's actually reporting this week? BHP, I think, is reporting. I think BHP might have been on. I think they were on CNBC this morning. Palo Alto is another one I'm paying attention to. Constellation Energy, Cadence, Energy Transfer, everything with regard to energy, I'm paying attention to. Everything. Let's just say it out loud. Coca-Cola, Euro Pacific Partners. Anybody else I'm paying attention to today? First Energy, Devon Energy, Expand Energy, LabCorp Holdings. Paying attention to that too. You want to know why? Usually when you get a job, you got to do the PP test. Just saying. Intercontinental Hotels Group, something else I'm paying attention to. Why? Well, because that is travel. And I think everybody's saying, oh, travel's great. We've been doing really, really well. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not expecting you to continue to do well. I'll tell you that. Today is Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. Empire State Manufacturing Survey and Home Builder Confidence. Remember, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday are going to be the big reporting days. We get PCE on Friday. That's going to be a very big deal because that's actually what the Fed pays attention to. I'm telling you, I'm not expecting anything good. I was saying last night, even yesterday morning, I'm still expecting the job, that 130,000 jobs that we got in January, supposedly got in January. Yeah, I think that number is going to be revised down. Seriously revised down. Just saying. Fear and Greed Index is at 10. So 9, 12, 10. We've seen 7. Just saying. This is not a pretty situation. Total value locked. Ooh, their application crashed. There you go. We seem to be up $500 million to $96.044 billion in total value locked. Not bad. Not great. You want to be over 100 at the very least. And here we go with Bitcoin. Look at it. We're still moving sideways. From here across, we're still moving sideways in a tight space. Normally, I would say it'd be from the top of my blue bar to the bottom to my purple bar right here. But yeah, no, we're in a tighter trading pattern than that. Wow, that consolidation. Who is it? Mike McGlure from Bloomberg thinks that Bitcoin can hit 10,000 from here. Imagine. There could be a reason why Michael Saylor was out there saying we're fine even if Bitcoin hits 8,000. He literally said that. And I'm sitting back and I'm going, so him, Mike McGlure, using numbers that I don't really like, because the last time that Bitcoin took a hit, it only dropped as far down as 15. And they're saying 10. Nuts. Looking at the big board, I still see a lot of stuff that's on sale. A lot of stuff that's on sale that I would definitely stand behind. XRP, BTC, ETH, BCH, BNB, ADA, XLM, LTC, Avalanche, SUI, Doge, SHIB, Link, Uniswap, Aave. ZEC is still good in my eyes. I don't have any, but I still kind of like ZEC. It's moved up. It's not going to hit. ZEC has a really high GMB X factor. So I don't think it's going to hit that X factor like whatever. But in its recent history, I think there's money to be made with ZEC, especially when you think about how far it's come, and now it's sitting in the top 20. Just saying. So Hype is another one, HBAR is another one, XMR is another one, Ton is another one, OKB had some noise. Check out the news on them. Go to growmybag.tv and check out the news on them. There's a lot of stuff going on. Looking at the year-to-date's not great. Looking at the rhythm of coins, we already know the rhythm right now. Right there, it's red. It's red. Just saying. Now, if we want to take a look at, if you want to actually believe me, come on, let's go. Chop, chop. There you go. Here are all the articles. Zandig stock soars 166% in 2026 because they sell memory. They sell RAM. You need that. Just saying. So you have a whole bunch of articles right here that can actually help you in doing your own research. What else do we have? We really want to look at the crypto tracker. So you hit the 5% rule right about here. Is anybody going up? Helium, I don't really have any anymore. It's down 7.92% with a GMB X factor of 38.77. Pippin is down 19.75% with a GMB X factor of 0.30. Right now, the way Pippin's been moving, and I have done zero research on Pippin. I will say this though. Pippin was at 150 something, then 120 something, then 100 in the teens, and now it's at 90. This is all within 2 weeks, by the way. And I have done zero research. But to me, that identifies as, oh, hey, I might be able to make money on that. I did a report yesterday on mixed finance. You can go search for it on growmybag.tv. They're down 27% with a GMB X factor of 11.86. Yeah. Pay attention to these things. We pop out news all the time. We've got breaking news videos that come out. We have I think a Money Minute that comes out 2 times a day. In addition to the show, in addition to the articles. Just saying, we're doing a lot. Anyway, folks, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes because it really helps with the algorithm. Tell your friends about this community because it's the only community that actually cares about you learning more about investing, whether it be stocks, bonds, crypto, buying a business, selling a business, getting involved in mergers and acquisitions, all that stuff. All of it. We care about your education. Anyway, everybody. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Me and my team will work for that every single day. I'll be back tonight for the overflow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye.